Next, to talk about NorZinc is CEO and Director Rohan Hazelton. Let's give Rohan a moment to join here. Hello, Rohan. Thank you for joining.
Thank you very much for having me.
NorZinc's Prairie Creek property is home to what is regarded as one of Canada's next large high-grade zinc, lead, and silver mines. Based on its 2021 PEA, the project is expected to have a 20-year mine life with an average annual production of 122 million pounds of zinc. Rohan, welcome.
Thanks, Tim. Great to be here.
NorZinc reported major news on Friday with an agreement to be acquired by the company's largest shareholder. Can you tell us more about the terms of this agreement?
Sure. Thanks, Tim. Yeah, on Friday, we announced we entered into an arrangement agreement with RCF, Resource Capital Funds, our 48% major shareholder, to acquire the rest of the shares outstanding at 3.25 cents per share. This was approved unanimously by the special committee formed by the board as well as by the board as a whole. We explored significant alternatives to this transaction, and we've signed lockup agreements with the directors and officers, and firmly believe that this is the best alternative for shareholders proceeding at this time.
When do you anticipate holding a shareholder vote, and if approved, when would the deal close?
Yeah, the shareholder vote is currently tentatively scheduled for November 30th. It requires a majority vote, 50% plus one, of the shareholders that vote, excluding RCF, as well as a 2/3 majority of all shareholders that vote. Typically, these transactions would close within a week or so following positive shareholder approval, so early December.
Great. Now, looking at operations with the project, you have been conducting some drilling this summer. What is this program focused on?
Sure. The drilling is focused on two areas, geotechnical and metallurgical testing. So the met work is designed at getting additional material, almost 500 kilograms of new material in the first 3 years, and in some cases up to 5 years of planned production, to be sent to SGS laboratories and do a full lock cycle testing, similar to what was done for the feasibility in 2017. This is to be used in our updated feasibility to be produced in the first half of next year. And then on the geotechnical side, it's to do testing in particular on dilution testing and rock stability testing through the use of televiewing and other techniques. There's a third smaller component, which is doing twinning on channel sample data that was taken in the past in order to sort of verify and increase our confidence level in the parts of our resource that are proven by or made up by channel samples as opposed to diamond drilling.
Great. Now, you also recently announced agreements with First Nations groups in the region. What are relations like with the First Nations and other stakeholders?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we're very pleased to have announced our final agreement with the 80K First Nation, rounding out firm and final agreements with all three of our primary First Nation partners in the area. I can say, because this is coming from the words of chiefs and council in the area, that this is the best relationships of First Nation and community relations that the company has had in its history. So we're very pleased with those partnerships.
Great. Now, the project has a fairly long history with past operators doing a fair amount of work there. What has changed that makes this the time to advance toward production?
Sure, thanks. I think one of the key areas, in particular, in the last number of years, have been advancing the permitting. So by receiving the final mine permits, major permits that we just did, as well as this month we expect to finalize the minor permits to start the road construction. That's been a critical challenge and issue, and then obviously the other one is financing. In these markets being challenging. We've sought a number of different alternatives, certainly since I joined just under a year and a half ago, and in the past, and difficult to finance a junior mining company at this stage. Going forward, now with this proposed transaction, we see a strong path to financing and advancing the project.
Great. Now, you mentioned the road construction. The company recently announced that it started staging for road construction. What does this consist of, and how soon until you would begin full-scale work on the road?
Sure, thanks. Yeah, the staging was consisted of two parts. So, from the mine side, and then from the south, which is just by the Liard River near Nahanni Butte. From the mine side, we heli lifted in two pieces of new equipment, excavator and a skid steer. And from the south, we also barged over and staged similar equipment. That's to begin by the end of this month, to begin the initial road clearing on both sides, again from the mine and from the south. Then the next stage is, following an ice bridge to be built in December, and we would have a third-party contractor come in and do the significant road work. Again, I say significant, although this is still a winter trail. Probably not even equivalent to what would typically be a full winter road. That will come next season. But to do that road work, with following an ice bridge, being able to bring over, more major equipment, and then that'll start from the south, and the whole sort of Pioneer Winter Trail, to be completed, by the end of the first quarter. The purpose of the trail is twofold. One, to do the geotechnical work to finalize our designs for an all-season road. So that's geotechnical drilling as well as ground penetrating radar to evaluate the permafrost. And then the second reason is to bring in 6 or 7 new pieces of equipment to be able to get ready to do early works at the mine site surface level starting next year.
Great. And now the other news recently is, I guess lastly, how significant is the recent news that you've received the final mining permits for the project? And do you think this will have a positive impact on the receipt of road permits as well?
Sure, thanks. Yeah, I mean, this was the major permit, so the water license and the land use permit. The component we just received was the ministerial approval on the water license for the expanded mine plan of 2,400 tons per day. And versus 1,600 tons per day, and that's significant. I think it's a strong, show of support from, the regulators, on the impact, positive impact of the project, and obviously that we're doing it responsibly or plan to do it responsibly, given the approvals. The final permits required for starting this road construction work, and frankly for the next stage, the next phase of the road work, I refer to those as sort of minor permits. They consist of a number of things: management plans, license of occupation, and so on. They are related. I think it's, again, a positive statement towards those, and we're very confident we'll get those, this month in the case of this Pioneer, phase 1 road. And then we'll be working hard with the regulators and government to get the required approvals for phase 2 by the fall of next year.
Great. Well, thank you again for joining us today, Rohan. We appreciate your time, and we'll see you during the Q&A panel.
Great. Thanks, Tim. Thanks all.